Dentistry and General Radio Network presents
DIG's official podcast with Dr. Bob D. In this episode,
we're milling and polishing in a way that has very minimal human labor. We're on a path towards 100% automation. The human side of the relationship should be the designer and the doctor, working out the design and the shape of the design and the scan and the bite and making sure all that's good. Once that design is done, this design is going to be replicated in a manufacturing process. Manufacturing doesn't need technicians to lick their paintbrush and fix things on models. We're up to almost 1,000 Rebel crowns so far, and we have over 99% first-time seating success. A model-free precision manufacturing workflow actually drives a lot of cost out in your process, and so we're just passing that on to our doctors.
Redefining crown accuracy with personal CAD designers, model-free manufacturing, and transparent pricing. Dr. Bob D. interviews Rob Laizure and Ben Guilford from Rebel3d.
Hello everyone, I'm here today with Rob Laizure and Ben Guilford from Rebel3d Dental Lab. I really like this lab because when we first met Rob, I was expecting you tell me all the wrong answers. The first thing was asked was, are you doing this here? Or I was expecting to say, no, we are sending it overseas, because I saw the prices and I'm like, this can't be a US made lab. And then you explained to me how the whole business model goes, and I'm intrigued. It's quality craftsmanship with quality products and great designers, almost like a concierge type of thing. I don't know how you can afford it at these prices, but I like it. If I didn't have a mill in my practice, I would definitely be using your lab. So go ahead, Rob, tell me, take a couple of minutes, tell me about who you are, because a lot of people know you, and then we'll get to Ben.
Yeah, Dr. Bob, been in dentistry 20 years, used to own a dental lab, and then sold that and started Full Contour, which was the world's first outsourced design center. This was in 2011. We started design services for dental laboratories when they were first going digital. Started with 3 designers, grew it to over 200 designers, sold it to 3Shape in 2017. I stayed on board for another 6 years. Had a wonderful time with 3Shape. Got to collaborate with them on 3Shape Automate, the world's first AI design platform. So we could talk about that. And then I left 3Shape and I'm on to doing some other things. And Rebel3d is an expression of something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's connecting doctors with a personal designer in lab work, lab production work that is high quality, made in the USA, and really disrupting the status quo of how dental labs are being built and the offering that they have. And I think to summarize what Rebel3d is all about is that we believe that every dentist deserves a personal design technician. So small lab, a 3 to 5 man lab, the doctor is going to get really good personal service. And I think that small lab's going to be around for the next 100 years. I really do. When a lab gets to 20, 30, 40 technicians, they can no longer afford to put their best and brightest technicians on the phone because those technicians need to be doing the lab work at the bench. Rebel3d is being built from the ground up to always put the doctor in contact directly with their personal design technician. So when Ben Guilford is connected with a doctor to design the cases for them, he's the one actually working on their cases. So they send him a scan file, they have a question, a concern, they want to talk about a case that they're preparing for, or maybe a case didn't go perfect and they want to chat about why didn't it go perfect so we can nail it the next time. They are always talking to Ben, who's designing every case for that doctor. He's not a customer support agent. He is actually the designer working on the doctor's cases every time.
That's interesting, but I want to ask you, why is it so important for the lab technician to be connected to the dentist? I know so many dentists just slap that impression material, send it to them, and then just slap it on. Can you go through the mindset of a lab guy who gets this analog impression, and now what do you do with it? You can't figure out the margins. You're guessing it.
Yeah.
What does your lab do differently that we should be basically come to get? Because if you don't know what you don't know, you're not going to value Rebel3d. You're telling me personalized designer. I don't even know what that means. I feel like I'm at Nordstrom.
Well, Bob, first off, we only work with doctors that have an iOS scanner. So if a doctor is taking Algin or PVS impressions, we are not able to work with that doctor. We are a digital-only laboratory design provider. So Ben can only start a case when it starts in a digital scan. We work with any scanner out there that the doctor has. And then, Ben, maybe you could pull up a case and talk through your process and what you look for and what you're paying attention to. But when you live in a digital world, we can now have an intelligent conversation around where is the bite actually? How much occlusal clearance was it? Is it open or is it overclosed? Was it interdigitated properly? And when you look at things on a 3D screen, you can troubleshoot quickly, get to root cause quickly, and really do better dentistry by not just doing the guesswork, the make it work, the I'll just grind it in or hand articulate and cross our fingers and hope we get there. When we live in a digital world, things can be so much more predictable, and you can get to a measured like root cause, root solution, so that dentistry should be awesome, should be very predictable, should be perfect. We seek perfection in what we design and manufacture. And Ben, maybe you pull up a case, share your screen, and just talk through some of the things you're paying attention to.
And
Yeah,
Ben is the designer, right? Ben, you're one of the designers
Yes.
for...
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
And co-founder of Rebel3d. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my screen pulled up here.
No problem.
So yes, I have been a lab technician since June of 2000. And so things I'm looking for when I get a digital scan, of course, I'm looking for clarity, margin clarity. I'm looking for proper interdigitation. I'm checking bites, things like that. You asked the question earlier about why, the concierge dentistry. When I am the one designing personally for you, we are connected intimately with these things. I can take a quick screenshot. I can use my phone, take a picture of the screen. I can send a web link or what have you if I have a question. I had a question about this particular case with this doctor because he did send a pre-op model and notice my occlusion of my crown is quite a bit heavier in these areas. And that tooth isn't necessarily completely bombed out, but I needed to know the story, because if I went ahead and just made this crown the way I wanted it and sent it, or if I did have a question in a traditional lab, I would have to, call my supervisor over, hey, I think we might need to call this doctor. I have a question, that doesn't always get relayed. And if it does, then, it gets put on a shelf that we'll get the call in this afternoon, the doctor's busy, what have you, can't get the, and then I'll start the case again tomorrow. So I'm already a day behind on the case. So that answers that a little bit. But, when I'm looking at the case, if I have any questions at all, I can just snap it, get it. I'm looking for clear margins. This particular doctor did a great job with capturing clear margins. Nice smooth adjacent contacts. I do like to see that. Sometimes it does take a little bit of work, just a little bit of enamelplasty there to smooth that off. Maybe I have a marginal ridge hanging over. But, these are things that I would ask during the case. Like, hey, do you mind if we just buzz this a little bit? And then, I can give you a nice broad contact that I know you're looking for. It's going to be beneficial on seat day as well as, cleanliness for the patient and all that good stuff. I know Rob's going to talk a little bit more about the zirconia that we use, but we are able to replicate my design 100%. I mean, down to microns, because we use a zirconia, a nano zirconia that's incredible. So I can make these margins, I can thin these out to 0.08, and we can actually mill that and go straight to the mouth. Rob, I think you have some x-rays that you can show as well to kind of, demonstrate what we're doing from my exact design to the mill to what goes in the patient's mouth with zero adjustments. And again, like Rob said, when there's, any issues with any questions, if something does go bad or wrong, or, you have questions of, hey, what happened here? We can look at the case together. It's quick, it's easy. It's no skin off any time off your hands, really, to just shoot a quick text or something like that. I just believe communication's key. We talk about remakes and things, and I honestly, truly believe that 98% of remakes can be avoided as soon as I get the scan, because I'm trained, that's what I do. I'm trained to see that and say, hey, I've got a quick question about this. I'm really not sure about this margin. What do you think? Where should we go from here? It's a collaboration, and it's just difficult to do that when you have a tree of people that has to be communicated to. It's the telephone game, right? By the time the supervisor gets a phone call to the doctor or to the receptionist or whoever, it's just that direct connection that we had, 15, 20 years ago, when we all used to go to CE courses together and teach together and learn about stick bites and smile designs and things sitting next to each other. I'd love to see that come back in dentistry. I feel like that it's fallen off when we've gone array of let's just prep and pray. We'll send it, and if we don't get it back, well, we got a cheap price the first time. Well, why can't we just put that all in one? Right?
So, Ben, tell me about the designing of the crown. Are you guys using AI? Are you using, 3 Shapes AI thing? Or are you guys going from scratch or a hybrid type of thing?
It depends on the case. I will send a couple to AI to see what it looks like. I personally haven't found one that is 100%, even 80% sometimes. We're working on some things with that, but I always have to go back. And really what the AI would be used for is just your general, clean up the scans, trim everything up, and that way basically just ready for me to fine tune it and really get into the occlusal details. The things that experience and teaching brought to me with occlusal contacts and adjacent contacts, when and where to make those a little heavy. Unfortunately, AI is not there yet. Hey, we need a free-ended tooth to have a 120 micron contact versus a number 30 that's in between, where I can really make the contacts right on. And with our polished zirconia, I don't have to worry about glaze. I don't have to worry about another technician down the road, whether the glaze is a little thick, or maybe when they were smoothing the glaze off or they took off the contact. It is literally exactly the way I design it is how we mill it and how it goes in the mouth. So we've really taken all the variables out of the accuracy.
So you guys don't glaze it, correct? Because I don't normally glaze, because I think the research shows that actually the glaze is not very good for the opposing teeth, correct?
That's exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, the glaze has more abrasion to it than polished zirconia. Now, glaze is fine. I don't want to make a huge enemy out of glaze, but it also is 30 to 50 microns thick per layer. So when you put glaze in the contact area, you're adding an analog step, a technician with the paintbrush adding glaze to the contacts, and it could throw them off to where now you need a chairside adjustment to get the crown to go down. But a polished zirconia surface, the research shows over and over again that it is the kindest surface to the opposing and also to tissue. Polished zirconia is a fantastic surface for tissue and opposing dentition.
Yeah. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. You guys talk about quality. You guys talk about concierge, personal designer. People listening to this, oh, here it comes the $180 or $220 crown. How are you guys able to afford, actually, in this day and age, to have these low prices? And we can go through it. And these prices are 2025 prices, just in case somebody's listening to this later on. Don't hold them to these prices that we're going to talk about. But how are you able to? I am a big fan of the race to the bottom. I just told you guys before we started recording that I'm about to throw up when we're talking about $10, $15. My time is a lot more important than $10, $15 that I don't get a redo. But I hear from people who are using your lab that these fit great, no adjustment needed. How are you guys doing it?
So a couple things. One is that our production process for milling and polishing is almost, but not yet, but almost fully automated, meaning we're milling and polishing in a way that has very minimal human labor. And we're on a path towards 100% automation, where we're milling it, polishing it, sintering it, doing the final QC, and it's automated. No humans are touching it. So I believe the human side of the relationship should be the designer and the doctor, working out the design and the shape of the design and the scan and the bite and making sure all that's good. But once that design is done, if Ben knows, hey, this design is going to be replicated in a manufacturing process, manufacturing doesn't need technicians to lick their paintbrush and fix things on models. We should also say that all of the crowns that we've done, the Rebel crown, is model free, and it's only model free. A 3D printed model could add more variability and more manual adjusting to the flow, the process flow, than a model-less crown. We're up to almost 1,000 Rebel crowns so far, and we have over 99% first-time seating success. And 3D printed models actually don't help at all in a QC check. And Ben could even speak to that a little bit, how a model-free precision manufacturing workflow actually drives a lot of cost out in your process. And so we're just passing that on to our doctors.
That's excellent. I don't even remember ever getting a crown from the lab back in the day and putting it on the model. I never, why do I have a model if it's sent back to me? I put it on the tooth. If it doesn't fit, it's got to be redone anyways.
Yeah.
The model work has always been crazy. Oh, let me see what it looked like on the model. Whatever happened, somewhere there was an error. So let's talk about this new business model that you guys have, that you can either become a member and get it cheaper, member of the club, the Costco model, or you can come for a day and buy something and try it out, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we have a very fair starting price. So for a doctor that just wants to give us a try, the first 3 crowns are free, right? Just to do a few cases and dial things in. And after they've done their first 3 crowns, it's $79 per unit for what we call the Rebel crown. It is a multi-layer, multi-yttria zirconia crown. It's got a nice blue-gray incisal blend, so it's going to look nice and translucent at the incisal. It's got cervical warming built into the disc, the zirconia disc that we're using. And so it's $79 per unit plus $9 shipping with a 1-week turnaround, which we think is a fantastic turnaround time for these days. So $79, a great and fair starting point. And so then when doctors get to 5 or 10 units, and man, I actually really like these. The x-rays look good. They're going in with little to no adjustments. How do we do more? And so, doc, if you want to sign up and be a member, it's $99 a month, and you'll get a crown for $59. And it's just an optional benefit to those that do more work and they want to make a commitment to us and a commitment to volume, and they just immediately get a fantastic price at $59. So that's our initial offer.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little math for people listening, right? So if you're paying $99, let's say $100, and you're doing 20 crowns a month, which is average in America, I would imagine. So that's $5 a crown. Added to that 60, that's $65 per crown now, guys. Which means 65 versus 80. You save $15 per crown, correct? Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
And if you do more, you even save more, right? You keep reducing that price. So the membership thing is actually a better idea. But I also understand if you're a startup and you're not doing as much and you want to start doing it that way, you have an option for them. Do you guys have some pictures to show?
Yeah, I have some things I want to just show on my website here.
While you're pulling that up, Rob, I wanted to touch base on the turnaround time, the 7-day, because a lot of people interpret that different. That could be 7 business days. A good example I like to use, if you scan and send me a scan on Monday, it will be in your office the following Monday.
Okay.
So it's not a 7 business day in lab and then we ship, because I've done it a million different ways over the years. It's 5 days in lab, and then it's just, it is what it is. You get a scan Monday, you'll receive it the next Monday.
You get Ben Guilford. You get a personal designer who is
Right.
actually working on your individual cases. The large labs aren't built and structured that way. Rebel3d is building an operation to scale a personal design relationship. And I'll just share my screen here. Let's run through the Rebel3d website. It starts with every dentist deserves a personal CAD technician. We've talked about that. That personal technician gives you personal results. Ben showed the margin line thickness. If you look at these margins, this is out of the mill, into the mouth, model-free margins. Those things are beautiful. There is no bulky margin at Rebel3d. We're designing them at 0.08 millimeters. Just to give most docs out there a heads up, most labs design margins at about a 0.15 or 0.2 millimeters because it allows you to go faster, and then they have to hand finish. But it allows you to mill faster, but you have to hand finish. But if you're not paying attention, you're in a hurry, you'll ship some crowns out that have bulky margins. You're not going to see that with Rebel3d. Our x-rays are beautiful. We love looking at them. Again, we touched on $79 per unit, 1 week turnaround time. Your seating appointments should be, if you had a single unit case, it should take you about 10 minutes. You should be booking 30-minute seating appointments and finishing early, having a few minutes to small talk with the patient, making sure they're doing good. Or if you're a busy practice, you could have multiple patients scheduled in different rooms and get rocking and rolling. Again, the personal CAD technician part. If you want us to design for you with that membership, you get a fantastic price, a $59 price. For the unicorn doctors out there that actually want to design themselves, they can get access to a price. If they want to upload their own designs for manufacturing, it's $39 a unit on membership. Designed in the USA, made in the USA. We're using quality harvest nano zirconia. So we're not cutting corners with quality products or where it's being made. Again, it's just our automated manufacturing processes, and that we're passing some savings along to doctors who want to opt in for membership. This occlusal paper was at the try-in, the dry fit, so nice positive occlusal contact. Ben's not designing them like a whole millimeter out of occlusion just so that they fit. It is precise occlusion so that there is light contact on that occlusal surface like you want it. We talked about our 0.08 millimeter margins. And Dr. Bob, we haven't talked about this yet. We just this week launched the Rebel Lux crown. So it's everything about the Rebel crown that we just talked about, but then we're adding a layer of ceramic work to accomplish the extra gingival warming or calcification or crack lines or custom staining and all that. The contacts will be polished. There won't be any ceramic work in the contacts. Everything is surface characterization. So if our doctor does have a really picky patient, a cash patient that has really high aesthetic demands, we just ask that you take a photo with the shade tab in the photo so that we can get a really clear visual on color and what we're going for. And we're going to get you a perfect matching crown for that. And then also coming soon, hopefully in January, we have a new product called the Thermal Bite Splint. Dr. Bob, you haven't even seen this or heard about this yet because it's a new 3D printable material by Whipmix, where after you 3D print this bite splint, we'll send it to you. You can heat it up with 160-degree water, and it softens. You put it in the patient's mouth, they bite down, and when their occlusion sets into the guard and it cools to mouth temp, it's locked in. So it remembers the occlusal contact points when it's warm, when it's at 160 degrees, and then you bite into it and it locks into place. If the doctor wanted to add additional retention, he could just like gently squeeze buccolingually in the posterior if it didn't fit with as much retention. This is a really cool product. We call it the Thermal Bite Splint because at 160 degrees, it softens and it's malleable, and then when it cools, it remembers. But let's say something happened and you wanted to start over. There was too much retention. That's okay. Just put it back in the water bath for a couple minutes, put it back in the mouth, and then get it to where you want it. And then it's perfected. So this is going to be a really fun product. We hope to launch it commercially at January 1st of the year.
Very nice. That Lux crown that you mentioned, that's the same price as regular crown?
No, it's going to be $179 standard price and $149 for members. This has a high-paid ceramist looking at photos and hand applying ceramics, calcification, crack lines. And so really that $59 price comes through automation or mostly.
This is traditional crown work, basically, if someone needs it.
Correct. This is a monolithic harvest nano zirconia with a layer of custom ceramic work over the outside. So you're not going to have any porcelain chipping or anything like that, but it's going to have all the characterization that you want if you have a really demanding case that needs some custom ceramic work.
Gotcha. Great. Anything else you wanted us to know, to see?
We're just grateful to be a part of DIG. You've been a fantastic partner to us. We have a number of doctors in the DIG group. Bob, I should look up the numbers, but I think the number of Rebel crowns that we've done for doctors in DIG is, I think, around 200-ish units over the past few months.
Nice.
And so we have a number of really happy doctors that are prescribing and using the Rebel crown almost every day. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for the partnership, and we're really enjoying it.
Excellent. Great to hear. Okay, guys, great talking to you. Hopefully we can do this again. I want to maybe do a little interview teaching course by your designers to put it on our platform, and people can come and watch it and see how you guys design a crown using, 3Shape and then ExoCAD. That would be awesome.
Sure.
Would love to. Absolutely would love to.
Great.
Anytime, Bob.
Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
This has been a production of Dentistry in General Radio Network. Visit our website, dentistryingeneral.com, to join engaging clinical and business conversations, explore our dental podcasts, and stay updated on our upcoming live events.